Hello and welcome to another episode of Blunders.
All the way from Tokyo, Japan to Toronto, here's another episode of Blunder.
Today, you will finally get to see that unbeatable scrap deck Dan and I have thought of. No, we're not. That's on my blog.
In this episode, we are actually going to be talking about my favorite thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's trading.
We're going to cover some basic topics on preparing yourself for a trade and how to engage people while trading. First thing you have to understand is knowledge is power. And when it comes to trading, you need a lot of power. We've come up with 4 things that you have to prepare yourself for prior to engaging in a trade. The first thing is knowing the prices of your cards. The easiest and most effective way to do this is go on eBay. Literally check up the cards you are not sure about and see how much they're literally selling for. Remember to factor in shipping costs and stuff, but realistically speaking, you can get a good grasp of how much each card costs.
Now, what some people do like to do is they go on a Troll and Toad and different kinds of websites to find out their pricing. Now, the only thing that you have to realize, Troll and Toad is a business. They're going to put up the prices that are going to make them some money. Not to say that that's wrong, because everyone who is going to do a lot of trading is out to make a little bit of money. The one good thing about eBay is it involves everyone. It involves the low of the low trader, which only has that one prize Dark Arm Dragon, or whatever they have, to the high-end Troll and Toad people who have tons of cards. Which means you'll get a quite diverse list of pricing. Most of it is right. The next thing that you have to know is rarity. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Of course, super rare is definitely less than ultra rare, so on and so forth. But really, that's not what we mean. When it comes to want and need, people want Stardust Dragon. Now, what people really want is Ghost Rare Stardust Dragon.
The second factor with rarity is that you have to look at playability, and if a card is popular, regardless of rarity, it can still go for a high value. For example, Solemn Judgment comes in 3 different rarities: Super Rare, Ultra Rare, and Silver Letter. The Silver Letter card is still an expensive card, despite there's an Ultra Rare version and a Super Rare version. This is because it's a very playable card, everybody wants one, and it's still hard to find.
Now, I know what you all are just about to leave in the comments, because you all like to be trolls. There is another Ultra Rare, it's called Gold Rare, but we're counting it as Ultra Rare, so stop putting it into the comments. And I know you're going to do it just because I told you not to.
The next thing you have to pay attention to is what's going to be released next. And in this regard, we're referring to reprints. You have to always stay on top of what reprints are going to be out next and which cards they're going to affect. A good example of this is Vayu. For the longest time, Vayu was a $40 card easily. It won games, and it was awesome. But then rumors started that it was going to get re-released in a tin. This brought the price down dramatically. If you were on top of that information before everyone else knew it, you could get rid of those Vayus for very high prices prior to the mass release of the Vayu tin.
Now I know what you're thinking. Not everyone had extra Vayus to throw around and get rid of really quickly. But if you think about it, you get rid of that card really quickly, then the value goes down. Then you're able to pick up the same card a week later for a much cheaper price. Let's say you got rid of it for 40 bucks. The next week, because everyone now knows all about the Vayu reprint, now it's $20. So in a simple loss of a Vayu for a week, you made $20.
So when you know this knowledge of what's going to be re-released in reprints, you can use that for trading. So for example, if you wanted a Vayu at that point, you could tell the person, hey, it's coming in a tin. That card's going to be like 20 bucks. You should just trade me now. So you can use this knowledge to hopefully lower the prices of cards that are going to be reprinted. Even if the rumor is not true, you can still use that, and because the internet is, vast, people probably heard it already, and you can use it to get cards that may not even be reprinted.
A lot of people use this as a scammer technique in order to get the right card for the right price. A lot of people did it with Pot of Duality coming out in Turbo Pack 4. The last thing about knowledge is you have to know about the popularity of cards. Right now, everyone's looking for 6 Samurai cards, but what they don't realize is some of the 6 Sam cards, not useful at all. The OCG is not playing every single 6 Sam card. So you could be getting rid of those Zanjis at a very high price, and then when the OCG comes over across the ocean, they'll get a big wake-up call. An example of a future look into the game, you have to look at what happened when Absolute Zero came out. Nobody was really concerned about it right off the bat, so a lot of people just went out and scammed people for cheap Miracle Fusions. Then when Absolute Zero came out, boom, up to $25 for a rare.
The first thing that we're going to talk about is presentation. You want your binder organized by monsters, spells, and traps, and synchros. You don't want to put stuff in there that you're not willing to trade and or has no value. Because this is just going to deter people from trading with you. Because they're going to say, hey, can I have that? And you're going to say, no, not for trade. And they're just going to get pissed off and not want to trade with you.
With the rising popularity of rares and commons, you have to realize a lot of people aren't looking for commons and rares. Some people are, but not a lot. So put your holos at the front. If you put them at the back, you're just going to piss somebody off. And they're just going to go through about, half of your binder. Go, this is commons, garbage, throw it at your face. And even so, you can say, oh no, the holos are at the back, but they're already pissed off. They don't want to look through your binder anymore. Now, one fad that seems to be going around is you need a monster binder in order to trade really well. That's not true at all. You need a binder that looks okay. Now, monster binders, yeah, sure, it looks really great, but is it really going to help you in the trade? Everyone has one. So my suggestion, go out, buy a good-looking binder, even if it's just a plain black binder that you get from the dollar store. Just make sure that there's not rips and holes all throughout. And make sure it actually has a front page, because honestly, when I look through a binder that has no front page, or a flimsy one, I just want to rip it up in their face. Some key pointers about the actual binder. Sleeve your cards. I know that it's supposed to get protected by the binder, but I've had Coke spilt on my binders. I've had people putting their grubby hands all throughout my cards. Not to mention their inability to actually take it out of the page. So they end up damaging the card while they take it out. And do you really think that they're going to trade for it when there's a big huge dent in the top?
Now that you've picked up your binder and it's properly organized and you have the knowledge to back you up, it's time to have some real life experience as well as some scenarios on how to do it properly. The first thing you have to understand is you have to know who you are trading. There are 4 types of people: the knowledgeable, the young kid, the older adult, and the I'm not for trade. You have to understand the knowledgeable person is going to try to rip you off. They're going to undervalue your cards and you're going to undervalue their cards and you're not going to get anywhere. It's very hard to trade with these people because they want to make money. So more or less, it's not worth your time trying to trade them. You're going to either get ripped off or you're both going to come out of it very unsatisfied. The next thing is targeting the kids. The kids either value cards that don't matter very high, or they value their cards way too high and it's so hard to get certain things off of them. However, if you can point out specific cards that they hopefully don't notice are good, you can possibly make a lot of money off of their mistakes.
When you're looking at kids, don't trade the younger kids. Let them get into the game before you rip them off. You don't want to get rid of a kid that could possibly come back to you when they have a little bit more cards. You don't want to make $100 off of a little kid once. You're going to want to make $20 off of him 100 times.
Okay. The second thing is when you're trading with an adult, they either have 2 agendas. One, finishing a collection. Okay? Most adults, for some reason, love collecting. Okay? They want to finish their binders, they want to finish their sets, and they want to get every single rarity of every single card.
The second adult trader is actually a non-knowledgeable adult. These are the people who are trying to create their decks that make them look so cool.
The last type of person you might trade with is the douchebag.
This is the biggest waste of time. They'll make you stay there for the longest time, overvaluing their cards or undervaluing yours, not listening to a word that you are saying. They're just being jerks. Another thing these guys like to do is they like valuing their cards properly, then valuing your cards properly. Then when you suggest a trade, they go, no, you're ripping me off. And it was all their value.
The next pointer we have is you have to make it look like you're not looking for anything in particular.
If you walk up to somebody and say, I need pot of duality, the person is obviously going to say, well, if he needs it that much, I'm going to value it at a proper cost.
So what we're trying to say is when you approach a person, just look through their binder. You don't have to tell them what you're looking for. You don't have to make it like you're on a mission. Just literally look through the binder, pick out a few cards, and then try to dwindle it down to the specific card that you want. So just always try to focus it back to that card, but you don't have to tell them that's what you really are looking for. The number one pet peeve I have is if I'm trying to trade with someone and they're constantly undervaluing my cards, I get frustrated and I literally just walk away.
One thing that you might want to try and do is undervalue a couple of cards, but properly value some of the other ones. That way, they seem a little more willing to give you a deal on one, but fair on the other. Now, here are some inside information on how to guarantee yourself a little bit of money. The first thing is actually what I do at regionals. You go around to the people who just opened their 5-packs and you ask for their commons. A lot of people will actually give you rares and holos as well. Then what you do, you send me a list of your wants. And at the very end of that list, you send me how many commons for these. I will tell you individual values of pure commons for each of those cards. So pretty much you're trading me commons for holos. Let's put it into perspective. Let's say you want Dark Arm Dragon from the tin. A pretty sought after card. I would take 2,000 commons, which is usually what I make in one single regionals, and that's the Canadian regionals that only have maybe 150 people, and you get a Dark Arm Dragon.
So what are you waiting for? Write down that list of cards you want, send it to Dan, he'll send you back how many commons he requires, and boom, transaction in the making.
Now there is one measly rule. These commons must be mint. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Binder Blunders. Make sure you subscribe and check out Devin's blog daily. Now we want to watch you. What I've set up on my channel is a moderator. I want you guys to list who you like to watch and then vote up or down those people. If you like to watch MCO40, by all means, give them the thumbs up. Now this is really good for up and coming YouTube stars. What you do is you put up your own name on this list and get your friends, your family to vote you up. Every week we're going to be picking the next top Yugi star.